What's going on? And welcome to season 2, episode 2 of Kings Speak. Now, men growing up are only allowed to have a handful of emotions, but as boys, when they grow up to be men, how does that affect their peers, their children, and their spouses? Well, I have actor and producer Marcus Brown here to talk about it all with us on this episode. How are you feeling, mister? Stay tuned. Hey, welcome to season 2 and episode 2. How are you feeling, mister? With actor producer Marcus Brown, an amazing actor, father, husband, son. And we're going to dive into this right now and talk about feelings. Let me bring Marcus in the building. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Jaimi?
Nothing much. How are you? And nice to see you face to face because we met via Tawny, but we met on Clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, it's good seeing you too. I'm like, I had to put all the guys outside, just to give some perspective. So I own a group home with my wife. So we have 2 homes. This is the one that we turned to group home. So I'm looking a little rough and like I've been hibernating for a while. So yeah, that's yeah.
That's okay. You're over there building chicken coops and
and 8-bed gardens. Yeah,
right.
8 beds out there, man.
That is amazing. Well, I'm so excited for the work that you guys are doing. So for the audience that may not know you, so you and your wife have a group home, but do you want to briefly just chat about who you are and what you do? Is your little introduction for the day?
Yeah, Marcus. Well, so the Pops, I that name was given to me in high school when my voice dropped, and I got a few people. I got a few people out of trouble, as they parent. So because I sounded like a dad. So I ain't calling you daddy, and they wasn't doing that. So I've got the name Pop. That's where that come from. But yeah, man, me and my wife met December 12th, 2002 at 24 Hour Fitness, and so we've been on this journey, ups and downs, breakups, makeups, possible divorces, but we're building an empire, and a legacy. So this was one of them. And we are partners in what we do. So I've learned to listen and not be so defensive. That was one of my things. I learned that in the marriage, not while we were dating. Because when we dating, you got a chance to leave. Well, you know what? I'm mad at you and go about your business. But when you in the house and you can't leave, you got to face yourself. And one of my things was I was always defensive, and I had to learn to listen. And it's been a little better. It's been much better. Not a little better. It's been much better. So that's just a little something just to kind of start off.
It's true. Listening is such a big deal. I mean, obviously, it's something that I have to do being a host and an interviewer. I always tell people, even if you've never done an interview before, if you listen, you'll have questions. You'll have, something will come to you. It's very natural. But if you are doing something to show everything you know or be right or show off and overspeak, you're going to miss the value in the connection. So I think listening is really powerful. Doing interviews like this gives me an opportunity to exercise that muscle. I'm not in a relationship, but hopefully when we get to that point, my partner will think I'm a great listener, and I'll tell him how I developed the skill. It's important.
Yeah.
So I love this. I cannot believe it, but we were in that Clubhouse chat for 8 hours.
Yeah, Tony told me that. I was like, I told you that too. That's a 9 to 5. Y'all need to get that check, because I mean, it was, but it was good. It was a moment in there that Oh, somebody just came to the door, but it's fine. It was a moment in there where I think even though it seemed like it was toxic because of what the two brothers were saying, it was good that it happened to show you the dynamic, because I was telling my wife, like, they seemed like they were younger men, right? They looked like they could have been in their late 20s, early 30s. But how this is what y'all dealing with. And I said, wow, man, we have to us older men have to find a way to bridge that gap on how to talk. And me and my brother, we speak on this a lot. A lot of this is our fault. And I'm not throwing myself in there, but I'm saying I'm for my generation, because those kids come from somebody. And exactly. So they come from our generation. So what is it that you missed in instructing this young brother on how to just conduct yourself in a room full of women? Because it like, I remember I was telling you that I told Tiny, I text Tiny in the process, but the brother that came in and just called y'all all out your name, and he did it like, like it's because it's Tuesday. There was no decorum. It was nothing like, I'm sorry. He said, yeah, I'll call that to you. I'll call you that to your face. And I'm like, that's an issue for me. But this shows he was representing a generation that, I don't care about how you feel and your feelings. And those, when you come together and then you produce another child, that's a problem, man. You creating go ahead.
Yeah, you said something major, because he was like, I don't care how you feel. And that's what we're talking about, feelings, because I'm feeling like somebody probably don't care how he feels.
Yes.
So he came in hot and angry, and I get it, because as a woman, I almost feel everything. And not just to say women have this, but it's like what's coming out of your mouth is from a place of pain, and it is very obvious. And so it allows me to expand my understanding and give grace. Like, okay, this is somebody that's hurt. And because I'm not hurting in this area, I had enough space to be like, listen, I hear what you're saying, but he was just so committed to being angry. And I really feel like it's because, like you said, why would he care what somebody else feels? Because people probably never cared about how he felt about things. So,
and this goes back to, I think this was one of your questions that you was throwing up, but you have to be able to communicate. We don't have so I told you I'm part of a men's group. And okay, let me start here. Us as men have to say it's okay to talk to each other about what we're scared of. It's okay to say that, but you have to pick your circle where you can do this. Because if you out there in the street, niggas ain't gonna want to hear that. I ain't got time to be feeling. You know what I'm saying? So pick your circle, detach yourself from what you know is not going to progress you anywhere, and find you a community of men. The saying was, every man needs a man. That means somebody that you can be accountable to, somebody that you can bounce your feelings off of, and whatever else you feel is bothering you, and not get judged for it. So once you had that like I have my brother Rob, we had these conversations, and I'm comfortable enough to talk to him about how I feel within my marriage. He's the same with me. We need that, and that brother that was there, those two, they don't have that. It's just, I like to say, it's people who just, you spit out this toxic verbiage, and you just circle around in it.
Yeah, they were just ruminating in it.
Just recycling.
Recycling it.
Yeah, recycling it.
How do men find that? Because this is my thing, right? I feel like there's trial and error in finding your circle, especially if maybe you don't have the best discernment, or sometimes when you're in the middle of your own crap, it's hard to see which ones of your decisions are, when you're in a mess. So my thing and what I feel like as a woman observing men, it's like the second y'all get hurt or judged, or maybe you cast your pearls amongst swine and whatever you're feeling or going is not well received, you just want to close up. That's it. I'm never again. Like, how can there be a space where it's just like, all right, that sucked. Let me hurt, heal, go through it, and make a better choice next time, instead of the whole, I'm shutting it down, I ain't talking to nobody about nothing. And then you go the next 40 years without a brotherhood, without somebody to talk to, without, like, I don't understand how that works. Because women, like, I've been heartbroken. I've been emotionally abused. I've gone through a lot of stuff, but somehow I always find a way to piece myself together and just love again. I'm not going to live my life without love. So what is it with men that, you know?
I think so for me, I had to, before I met my wife and my best friend, my brother, I learned to be by myself. And my dad used to tell me that. He would tell me that because in high school, I always wanted to be with everybody. And yeah, you know, you just want to be everybody. And he said,
you're trying to kick it.
Try to kick it. And when you do that, you pick up all these different personalities and who you think you should be. And my dad, he was one of he was like, you need to learn to be by even the radio, like just something as simple as having the radio off and just being by yourself. Because when you be by yourself, you actually able to get that communication with God, right? So now you're able to find who you are, what you like. Ask yourself questions. You know what I'm saying? And just study. Just study the world around you. What is it that you want to be involved in? Before I met my wife and friend, that's what I was doing. I was living out my car, pursuing my dreams as an actor. But I was always by myself. My radio, I had my radio, but that joker got broken into 3 or 4 times. And I said, okay, God, this is supposed to happen. Like, brother, be by yourself. Read. Find something that just listen. And the people that came into my life for that moment were to, make me better. I also tried dating. Right before I met my wife, I got stood up by this girl that I was really liking. And I dropped the night before, I had dropped her off at a house. And then I was supposed to come back the following night because we were supposed to go somewhere, and just nothing. I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, man. Then I was heartbroken. I was like, man, because I was really liking this girl. And I'll say about 2 weeks, because it was Christmas month. That's how I know. And so 2 weeks later, I needed a job, and I kept sneaking into the gym to shower. And the guy was like, you know what, man? You can work here at nights. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay. So I started December 12th. It's on my paycheck stub. That's how I know what day and date. This woman was at the desk, big eyes, and she's like, hi, just pleasant. And I was like, hey. And I couldn't even, it was like one of those, man. And I was open, bless you. I was open to God put somebody in my heart, in my mind to fill that void of what I needed. And mind you, it was somebody else that I was interested in, but she was across seas, and we was talking for a while, but it was long distance, wasn't happening. So I had a void, and God gave me somebody to fill that void. And we started talking, and I think about 2 months later, I meet my brother, and I was like, yeah, man, I got this girl, because by this time me and my boy Rob had a few conversations, and I'm like, yeah, I got this girl that she worked here at the gym, and her name's Nicole. He's like, Nicole's your girl? I'm like, yeah, and he said, okay. He later tells me that he met her first.
Oh wow!
And his homie at the time was in the gym, and he's like, "Hey man, you see that girl at the front desk?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he said a prayer right then and there, like, that woman ain't from here. I hope she finds somebody that won't break her heart and, you know, mess up, take that light away from her. And he said, when I met you, he said he knew his prayers was answered.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what we family. To the, like, we was talking about this, like how this all came about. And so my answer that was a I went all around the world, to tell you that you need to be. It's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to be by yourself and discover your dislikes and your likes. And be honest. See, I wasn't completely honest. Well, both of us weren't completely honest during our dating because we want to, you know, we both was trying to please each other. It's okay to have those disagreements. When we got married is where you start to see, oh man, there's some things that I needed to focus on that I did not focus on before we got married, but now I got to do it in front of her, vice versa. The counselor, Hassani, he had us sit down and he gave us these worksheets and questions and books to read, and it forced us to find out what is it that we both enjoy about ourselves. It forced us to look at ourselves. That's what I'm getting at. It's forced us to look at ourselves. So learn to be by yourself. Learn to be by yourself before you try to, bring somebody else into your mess. Because
that's really good. I mean, I always tell people not to force a single season of singleness on people, but it's very necessary. And I do notice with a lot of guys, like, I don't know how they do it. I got guy friends and they just be all over the place. It's like, you always dating somebody, you always talking to somebody, you always relax. Like, do you know, how do you even, to me, sometimes it's just because that's who you like and that's what you want to do. But sometimes I feel like, what are you running from? What are you not facing within yourselves? You're just constantly occupied. And that is, how do you grow from that?
So I learned to focus on my first love is my career. I've been doing this 30 years. We was going through some things in our marriage. My wife, she was telling me, she said, if you, I'm gonna be a little transparent. Okay. So I wasn't completely honest within marriage. And her thing, she said, if you focused on your career, your family, no, you focused on your career more than you focused on what you was chasing, you'd be further along.
Woo.
And I was like, wow. Lost sight of the goal. Usually men who just chasing women, well, what else are you chasing? Like, what is your significant, what is your main goal? You can't give 100% to everything. You can't. Right. It's just like having multiple careers. I'm a hairstylist. I act. I make clothes. I build cars. You can't be all over. Everybody, I know. But my point is, you're giving all your attention to things that won't that's not moving you forward. And so if you find that one to focus on, you actually will get results from. And my immaturity, that's the guy from the group home. Hold on real quick.
It's okay. While you're doing that, I want to show love to people in the chat. What's going on? I'll just mute him real quick so he can handle that. What's going on, Asia Mass? Salute. Thank you. Sunny Rose, thank you so much for showing up. Yes, be by yourself. Yep, it's so true. You're the master of nothing. I just muted you real quick just to help you out so you can do your phone call. And there were some people in the chat, so I wanted to shout them out.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know people in the chat. I have it on full screen. Hey, what's up, folks? All right.
Yes, I love how you said that because it's very true. Now, I'm somebody. I call myself a queen of all trades. I've come to terms that I'm a little bit okay with that, but at the same, I don't know. I feel the same way, and I think about that again when I'm going through dating. Like, okay, you're saying you want this, you're saying you want this life, you're saying you want that, but your actions, I don't understand how you are prioritizing that. So let me get this straight. So your wife said basically focus on your family like you focus on your career, or focus on your career like you focus on all of this other stuff you were chasing. I just want to clarify.
Focus on your family. Because because all I knew was I'm an actor. This is what I do. My definition of what manhood, father, husband was work, and you provide and don't do that. I'm just being general, but just being there because and giving advice, and all this, leading. Now, let me. My father, that man, he showed growing up watching him. I mean, he worked 2 to 3 full-time jobs when we moved out here from Illinois, and because he had a dream too. He's about to be 71, Lord's willing, 71. And he still got that hustle. It ain't over until God take the breath out my body. I love that. My wife loved that. She said, I see you like that when you're that age. And I'm like, so that's my definition. He provided. He didn't want my mom to work, even though she needed to living out here. But that was his definition because that's what was given to him. And, my grandfather, he did the best that he could for that time. My dad did the best that he could for his time with me. But that didn't work with the that type of mindset. Woman stay at home and the man work. They don't work with the women today. And so I was trying to put that upon my wife and not saying it, but doing it. You see what I'm saying? And so all this is coming out in the counseling, and so I found out it's this thing called 4 pillars of a man's heart. I think you got some questions. I heard you taking the breath in. You want to ask me something?
I'm listening. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. It's a thing called 4 pillars of a man's heart. It's king, warrior, mentor, and friend. My thing that I leaned on was king and warrior. I will take a bullet for my family. I will defend my family. King is I run this, but you forget about the other 2, which is friendship and mentor. If you're the foundation of your family and you only lean on 2, your family starts to tilt. And that's what was happening. Like our kids was acting funny because the foundation, which is the father, and then you have the mother, wasn't right. And I had, in order for my family to, I hope I'm not just going all over the place, but in order for my family to be at a happy place, I had to be in a happy place so my wife can be in a happy place, and everything, all my pillars are erect and up and strong. So let me explain something. Leaning in this 4, it's called 4 pillars of a man's heart. That's the book. That's the name of the book. 4 pillars of a man's heart. I read that, and they take quotes from the scripture because us as godly men, if you are to be like Christ served. Well, you also have to serve. It's not about cracking the whip and saying, do this because I said so. No, I said this I think I said this in the room, or I said this to Tanya at some point, but us as men, our job here is to serve, to be of service to your wife and your kids. I'm not so quick to punish if something is wrong. Mentor them. Don't act like you know too much, and don't be scared to say that's leaning to the left or to the right when it comes to the mentorship pillar. Friendship pillar. Don't be so closed, or don't be so needy. You have to find a way to balance yourself there. Warrior is, don't be a coward. Don't be overbearing overbearing and always ready to fight. King, don't be a tyrant, which was what we about to get rid of in in the White House. You know what I'm saying? This is an example of what we are shown as manhood in America. I only can speak for America. This is what we've been shown. So let me just circle back around here. I hope I'm doing this right.
You are.
Okay. I learned to when I learned that there was two other pillars in manhood. It made me a better husband. It made me a better father. My oldest kid. No, it's not. It was my oldest. It was all three of them. All three of them had a meeting 3 years ago. Yes. So the oldest is 10. The other one is 7, 6. So they were. The oldest was, I think, 7, 5, and 4. And they had a meeting. My wife recorded this, and they were talking about me. And they were saying how I know they love their father, but God put it in their heart for me to see this on how I act around the house. And it hurt because I didn't like what I saw. And if you don't like what you see, you have to change. Humble yourself. That's the first thing. Humble yourself, accept that that's who you are, and change that. I use that and apply that to your marriage. Use that and apply that to anything that you do. If you need to, right? So when I saw that, my wife didn't say nothing. She said except for the fact that they love you, and I'm like, yeah, I know. She was trying to comfort, but I knew what I needed to do, which is where all of the this pandemic has been even better for me, because I got to be here and I got to read more and be by myself and be better at what I knew I needed to be better at. And once I found once I found how to show and say that I love you to my kids, my wife, it actually brought life into the home. Like, I took my oldest to school, and I just asked her out the blue. I said, hey, I was driving her. I said, hey, well, how you think, how have I been as a father? She said, you've been a great daddy. She cut me off. And I ain't gonna lie, I was over there like, and I was saying to myself, okay, cool. This is what I need to do. Apply that same energy when it comes to your wife or somebody that you're courting or vetting. How how I knew my wife was actually the one. I saw how she treated other people, not how she treated me.
I hear that a lot, actually, from men. Yeah.
I think I hope I didn't go away from the subject because I didn't went through on this whole long story. Because there's a lot. As I'm saying all this, there's a lot in my head because we have to learn how to. We have to learn as men how to say, okay, I'm going off some of the questions too that you had asked me. No, some questions you had asked me a while ago, and it was about like, how do you feel? How do you say? Oh, I forgot how it went, but
yeah, don't worry. We can go with the flow. Conversation is flowing because I get it. Like basically what I'm hearing too is like from what you said about your father, he kind of only had the couple of pillars. So
yes,
here you're the next generation and you had to do the work to read and ask and look at the video of your children to
thank you.
learn to
This is
fill in them other pillars. Yeah.
yes. So me and my sister were talking, and during the pandemic, this was last year around March-ish, April, and we spoke for a good 3 hours, and it was how we had a hard time saying, "I love you." And I know this is supposed to be about men, but there's some women who go through this.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a generational thing, and it's because, like, when I saw my wife and how her family interact, I used to say, like, man, y'all the Cosbys. Like, what is this? I don't know this. That's not the life I know. Now, with that said, we knew our parents loved us because of what they did. But sometimes you just want to hear that.
Yeah.
You want to feel that. And you have to, at some point, in order to break that, you have to take that step and change it. Mm. So I was telling my sister, I was doing that with my kids. Like, I didn't hug them. And it's like, dang, man, like you know, and it's like, well, man, how can you not hug those kids? And it's like, oh, those are my strings. That's what my counselor say. When you come together, you have strings. Those strings are your past, your family. Well, those are my strings. Mm-hmm. So some of those jokers I got to cut. Mm. So my daughters can be better and can learn to look for somebody better than their father. Yeah. If you can't, it's okay to find somebody like me, okay, but I want him to be better, because if you're the same, well, where's the growth? Mm-hmm. My son, I want him not to be like me. I want him to be better than me. So I make sure I feed all that love, and I tell him I love you, and I don't feel any shame in saying that now. I used to, and those feelings are taught, is what I'm getting at. Those feelings are taught, is generation, and again, it goes back to being with yourself and understanding this. I knew that was a problem, but I never was honest with it until I actually had to face it with my family that I was blessed with. Because when I was single, I knew I had that issue, but I was like, all right, I'll get to it when I get to it. That's not how that works.
Wow. So would you suggest that? So what would be your suggestion to men that know they have that issue? Because maybe, like you said, it wasn't the loving of physical affection. It wasn't the words, I love you. What would be your suggestion to men? Well, you said it, be by yourself. But I guess it would also be great that if you have that issue, how would you explore or tackle that without being in the arena of having to actually see this thing going at play? Like,
well, I'm not.
I really don't know what I'm doing
don't,
here.
I'm saying don't be a monk. I'm just saying. Right. I'm saying before you go out and start, vetting, and you're gonna meet women. Mm-hmm. Be aware of yourself. Just don't go out and be careless with your
everything.
With everything. Yeah. Because our each all our steps, each step causes it affects somebody. And it just gets passed on. It gets passed on, and we have the situation now. It seems like men are against women and women are against men. And I'm like, well, this is nothing. There's a lot of division.
Yeah.
And what's hypocritical, I mean, you could use this even all the way up to the White House, the politics. One nation under God. God is not about division.
Indivisible.
Indivisible, but yet we're divided. And so, and then this is for the folks who believe. If you don't, okay, cool. This has nothing to do. This has nothing to do with you, but it affects you, because the truth is, there's a God, and it's this. There's when there's division, there's trouble. We need each other. The men that came in there and said that we need to separate from men, they was talking foolish. And I want to know what they were smoking to come in and say that, because
I'm wondering.
Go ahead. You wonder what?
I'm wondering with that, when he was saying that, if we remove the pain, I'm wondering if what he was saying was kind of what you were saying, like men need to be alone and get it together before we come together. Because he was saying the pandemic was beneficial because we need to be separated, which I think the way
it came out, because it was like, wait, brother, what you mean? Because now all of a sudden, because of this, it sounded funny, but I was telling Tiny, like, sex dolls have skyrocketed in sales.
But see, and that's that distraction that I'm talking about. It's like, okay, if you know you're going to sit your tail down because you need to look at yourself, look in the mirror, do this, do that, that's one thing. But if you're just finding other things to distract with because you don't want to interact and heal and grow, that's quite disturbing.
Exactly. So it's like, how genuine are the men that's actually wanting to be by themselves? My brother, my brother was saying that he did that. He sustained abstinence, like he had to be by himself, which is why we met each other, because we were both. He used to be out in the street and everything. He said he had to detach himself away from that. And when we met, we were both in that mind space of being better. We weren't looking for nothing. It was just the goal. His was music, mine was entertainment. And God put each other in our rightful places at that time. And here we are almost 20 years later. Can't believe I'm saying almost a dub, man. That's a whole person.
Not right.
That's a whole life right there.
Right.
And so, I agree. Like, just go ahead and be by yourself and read, man. Put something in here. Be careful. My dad used to tell me, be careful what you let into your house, because you look around and it's like, dang, I got a whole lot of cleaning up to do, and some of it starts to stick to you. And so that's why it's be careful what you're listening to music wise, and be careful what you're reading, taking in, and it's harder for the younger generation because it's right here.
Oh gosh, because
you know what I'm saying?
That too. Protect your ear gates, protect your eye gates, protect what you're letting in. But now it's like the floodgates have been wide open, from the access to porn to the music. Like, I remember, my dad was very Christian. I damn near had to smuggle the Funkified CD into the house to get a little. Can I get a little Funkified without getting in trouble? Like,
no, you took that one back. Yeah, she said I had to smuggle that in. I feel you.
I couldn't, like, my parents thought they were doing big things when they let me have the Boys to Men CD, and I was just like, So, wasn't no earphones, go off in your iPad. No, like, we were very monitored. So I didn't have it like that either. So now I'm like, people will give your child an iPad and send them off into the other room and we don't know what we're getting. So it is very different. That's why it's so important for you to speak, knowing what you know, especially having children, especially being in a successful marriage. And navigating the ups and downs between realizing what you didn't get from your father, filling in the gaps, and then using that to navigate your relationship with your wife. Because you mentioned at the top that y'all almost split up a couple of times. So how do you feel like your evolution and understanding of self helped bring you back to the love of your life in hard times when you were,
I have fallen in and out of love with my wife several times.
Wow. And that's almost hard to hear, but the fact that
I know it is, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but this is honest. Yeah. And I know she felt the same. I bet she'd tell you, she probably wouldn't say it that way, but if she heard that, she'd be like, yeah, the same with you. But here's the thing. The goal is the goal, which is what till death do us part. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure God has wanted to divorce us. We ain't been right. You know what I'm saying? So like, who am I? Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Who am I to say I'm just tired of you, I'm leaving?
Yeah.
No, that's not how that works.
Right.
my bishop used to say, yeah, because I old time, but he used to say, y'all young brothers talking about, oh, that's my flower, and you picked it, and he said, well, now you picked it, you stick with it. Like that's what you chose, because you was talking all big and bad at the beginning. That's what you stuck with. Now, look, if it's toxic and there's a whole lot of physical, I'm not saying that. I'm not advocating that.
Right.
But when there's always going to be problems when two are trying to become one. I look, my aunt and uncle, they've been married, I think, almost 50 years.
Woo.
And it looks so easy now. It's because at the beginning, they stuck with all the pain and the hardships. So the reward at the end is just grace. I'm not grace, but just a smooth transition. And I see those older couples. I mean, they almost look like each other. They've been together so long.
I agree. I know what you mean.
Yeah. And it's like that's what I want. I want that. My wife, we talk about that. Like I got some acres down in Louisiana, quite a bit, and we saying want to retire, and she wants the porch around the house, and we just sit there. I ain't doing that. But she just sit there naked and drink, just sip tea and talking about we made it, baby. And I say I ain't sitting out there naked, but I feel what you're saying. I feel it. That's her. She's
right. You can be naked, but
yeah, you can be naked. I ain't sitting my ass out there like that. But okay, but that's the goal, man. And want to be able to give our kids that journey and those nuggets and jewels of how to make it.
So do you think yes. So do you think that, because like we can go back, so the clubhouse chat that we had where these brothers obviously felt in their feelings about, do you think we're ill-equipped in this generation kind of to do the long game? It seems like people, the second they get in a couple little riffs, it's like, you ready to go, you ready to put it down, you're so frustrated, you're done. Because even with them, they almost sound like they're done with women, or you're done with the idea of marriage. Like, so are we, when it comes to our feelings and what we equate, because so sometimes I think like, yeah, sometimes I feel like we're ill-equipped. Not all of us, but if you're not willing to grow and go through anything, how do you get to that point where you're sitting on the porch with your loved one that you actually went through the tough waters with and came together enough? Like, are we giving up too quick? Like, are you thinking that we haven't learned how to play the long game because everything is so microwave?
There you go. That's the culture. If it's not working, get rid of it. I need to be happy. I. Everything is about I. Mm-hmm. What I at the beginning I said, what our job is to serve. Now some men will hear that like, man, well, what the heck she supposed to do, brother? Let me tell you something. Right. When you give, you get 10 times as much back. I have been like my wife has been like great, and but because I genuinely serve. If right. I support her in her dreams, if there's something that I need to do, and if something that needs to be done, I do it. I don't say that's her job to do. I do it because it needs to be done. Right. She picks up on that. And like y'all had said that, like we naturally are nurturers. So if somebody is genuinely doing something to help
make your life better.
Yeah. Make your life better. Yeah. So it's the culture. Everybody is quick to quit. And then people's perception of marriage, ball and chain. It's the ball and chain. It's the ball and chain if they're against you, and you shouldn't even got married in the first place. I have no ball and chain. We have a business because of her and because of me. So that's actually there's no chain. It's so that's ball and chain is for folks that when one is pulling against the other.
Right, and you feel like you're dragging something along, like
yes. So you should ask these questions. It's okay to ask these questions when you are dating, when you're sitting across the table from her, and if that's where your mind is. And for women, you know, y'all, you have, my boy Ron said this. He said, y'all got the power, because if you know this man is letting you know after jump that he ain't looking for nothing, he just chilling, and you still entertaining this brother, that ain't his fault. It's not. You can't go to the lion's den and get mad because they start chewing on you. You went there and they let you know. Like it says right there. So you got the choice to be like, all right, this ain't for me. I don't care how fine he is or how much money he got. And it's vice versa for the man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She letting you know that she just, you know, about handling her business. All right, brother, you know, suck it up and just move on to the next one.
Right.
You know what I mean? There you go.
We are the cause of our own suffering a lot of the times because of whatever choices that we're making that put us in that situation. So when you think about, we started this conversation and you spoke a lot about how important it is for men to have a brotherhood and someone that they can kind of share their feelings with and get, you know, some reciprocation that's healthy. When you're younger, how do you navigate finding that kind of circle? And then how do you kind of overcome the heartbreak of, because I feel like at every point in a man's life, there's going to be someone who tells you, suck it up, don't cry, you can't do this, You're going to feel shut down. So how do you overcome that without the fear? Like, what tools do you need to build within yourself so that way you're not afraid to open up again out of the fear of being shut down?
The saying used to be, the only woman you can cry in front of is your mother. And don't cry too much in front of her, because then she call you a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Like exactly. This is so as a young man, I honestly by the grace of God, yes, I actually you have to be honest with yourself, and like for me, there were, I'm trying to go back here, 2001, 2002. I wasn't completely honest with myself. Okay. And I was not being myself. There were things that I thought that women wanted. So I tried to provide.
The perception of what it looks like. That really trips people up. Instead of being yourself, you're being what you think a man is, or what you think women want you to be. Yes.
And it took more work to do that.
It's a performance.
And it was, And I'm like, the reason why actors are so tired when they get offset is because you're being somebody that you're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a lot of work to do that, man.
You have to study your sides, rehearse. Yes. You got to play with the script. You got to be like, okay, well, is what I'm saying going to be received in a way where the person responds like this to tell the story? Like, what?
Yes, you got it.
Like that.
You got it. Yeah. So I believe is you know, if I was, which is why I fell in love with Cole so quick, because I'm like, man, I can be myself around her. I said this. I told you I videotaped our first dates. First time we met. Yeah. Because I was, you know, I was living out my car, so I had my camera with me all the time. I was always talking, and we had our first date, and I talked about it after. And I said, man, I can be myself around her. Like
So she created the space,
She created the space. But I'm not that guy that, you know, that got the lines for you. That's not me. That ain't never been me. I tried it, and I got looked at like, you know, like,
dude, you're corny. No.
Yes, that. And then and so what that does to a young man's ego, I'm corny. When I see my peers are always getting it, or they always got like 3 or 4 girls, it was like, man, brother, just be yourself. And that's what she told me. She said, you didn't come to me with no lines, no, hey, baby. You was just, hey, how you doing? Like, you know, and so with her, it was the same thing. And I was amazed. I told her, I said, I'm watching this because we on New Year's Eve, I showed the kids our date, and they sat there and they was like, "That's mommy and dad," because we look so young. We look like 16.
So cute.
Yeah. But me and my wife, we was a little watery eyed. It was a little allergies. You know what I'm saying? We was getting. But I told her, I said, "Hey man, I just noticed you wasn't really comfortable with yourself with me, because you was telling jokes and you kept saying, oh, I'm just playing. No, you wasn't. You actually you was saying if I would find you, corny. You was testing to see how I would react. I loved it because I was like, sure, there's somebody like me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So be yourself, man. Be yourself on them dates. If you want to eat, if you go, look, man, if you go out, this bothers me when women go out and then they get this little ass plate of salad and maybe so like a wing, and then you do this. Look here, eat.
Not I, sir. Not
okay,
I.
I'm saying.
I've been on dates where my plate is clean. What you doing? Did you even get that? I'm smart.
Yeah,
I'm gonna eat
like
now.
if you can't be real with yourself, how you gonna be real with everybody else?
Correct.
Yeah, so like do that, man. Like.
And I hear that a lot from men. Actually, on the last episode of King Speak, we talked about 2020 lessons, and Nate is kind of one of our resident speakers, and he's been on, but he was sharing some of that. And, he's a speaker. He's got a lot of energy and things like that. But when he was younger, especially when your kids, or depending on how you grew up with your father or anything, was always sit down, you talk too much, be quiet, you're doing too much, sit down. Yeah. So he grew up like, all right, well, I'm gonna sit down and I guess I'm gonna just read, and I guess and it makes you small. But in reality, he's like he's just, so it took him a while to figure out, like, bottom line, just be yourself. Like, yes. I don't feel like we're taught that enough, because we hear be authentic and all of this stuff, but then we look on social media or the TV or whatever it is, and it looks like people that are performing in a particular way are getting the results that you want, and they're not authentic. So I just think that that's perfect. If it's corny, it's corny. If it's funny, it's funny. If you want to eat. If you want to joke. Like, because if you're going to spend your life together, you're going to have to actually like each other for who you are.
Exactly. Yes, man. And we didn't I don't think we really knew each other until we got married. Like, what the hell? I didn't know this was part. What? Like, who is this woman? Yeah, like, and I'm sure she'll say the same about me. Who is this? That ain't the Marcus I remember.
Well, I want an example. I want an example of what you saw after that you didn't see before. Because time reveals things, and that's natural. But what is it that's just like, what? That's what you do? Like, I'm just curious.
So maybe I should put it like this. When my wife got pregnant first time, I was not used to. My wife is a wushu artist, 20 years, black belt, swords. Yes. And and that's what I said when I saw her when we was dating. Always active, stretching, doing yoga and all this other stuff. And she was like a superwoman. And then she's older than me too, like 6 years. So so it was a little mesmerizing right there.
Right.
When she had our first child, it changed. I didn't know how to deal with that, and I was like, "Oh, what is this?"
Interesting.
Yeah, but that's the ignorance on my part, because is she supposed to do all this 9 months pregnant, or during the process? Like, do you not understand how women's hormones work when they're pregnant? Like all this stuff is in my head. So that was one, but that's something that you can't change. But I would say, what is it? What is it that you know what? I ain't gonna mention this one. I'm not gonna mention this one.
Okay,
I'm gonna keep this to myself. Yeah.
But you were good with the pregnancy thing, because I feel like as a woman, I think sometimes we talk about it. That's something that we get nervous about. It's like when we change, when we don't appear to be the woman that you fell in love with, especially if there's any insecurities there, or we're feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
It can be challenging to be like, does he still like me? Like, you know, because it's like, what part of me did you fall in love with?
Yes.
So
yeah. And I had to my ignorance of it. No, I didn't have nobody to talk to about it neither. You see what I'm saying? Like the men's group.
It's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. See, if I had the men's group at the time, I would have probably. I know I would. I would have went to the room like, "Hey, man, what is going on?" But I had nobody to like vet that to.
Wow.
You know. So again, if when there's a toxic situation amongst men, and when there's not. Let's be wise about your decisions on who you go talk to.
Right.
That's my answer to the young brothers. If you want to talk to somebody, God sends people your way when you genuinely want answers. That's how that works. Okay. No, seriously, because because when you searching,
seeking you shall find.
Thank you. And there it is. Yeah, that's my answer for that one. Because that's my answer for that one.
No, that's really good. So, I love it. You shared so many amazing things. Before we go, I want to know, because you have your men's group and you have this group home and things, what are some changes that you've seen in the young men that you're around that were produced from you creating space for them to talk about their feelings or ask questions or express themselves in ways that they may not have been able to do in the outside world?
They're happy. They're happy. Like you don't come in. Hey, what's up? How you doing? I'm chilling. It's like, nah, brother, what's up? It goes from that to, hey, what's up, brother? It's like me. Like, like I think I'm a happy brother right now. You know what I'm saying? Because that's that. You need to get that off your chest, man. And look, I think I told y'all that the happy wife, happy life, and I say no, happy wife is divorce life. That's what I said, because it takes two. The man got to be happy too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, because we're one, and I'm happy because she asked about my feelings as I do her, because I did go into the marriage with that, the happy wife, happy life. And in your mind, when you can't vet or when you can't explain, well, when is it going to be about me? For all these other reasons in your head, or a man's supposed to suck it up. It does things to you, and you act out, or you act out in many different ways. So if it's happy couple, happy life, that it's a shared feeling. And so I'm happy, she's happy, the brothers in the men's group are happy because we're talking. And we not in there all the time. If something, we come in to check in on each other.
Yeah.
There's a couple of moderators that's on there, pretty much a lot, and there's new ones that come in and they help. But us who's been in there for 4 or 5 years, it's like, most of us are good. Thank God, man. So yeah, man, I'm heart is fluttering.
Yeah. I love it. That is so amazing. And this made me happy. So on with the happy train. Because there's value in it, and I genuinely care. And it's really hard to watch men suppress and not speak and not be open because of the things, happy wife, happy life. It makes it feel like your feelings don't matter. You've been told all your life, you're feeling relaxed, shut it down, all of this stuff. Yeah. And then, you end up in these marriages and it affects your kids because you're closed, or you're not hugging them, or you're not loving them. Your wife don't know what's wrong with you. She thinks she's doing this, that, and the other because you're not opening your mouth. And there's so much value in it.
The number one thing is communication in relationships. Why they break up? They don't communicate. Correct. Yeah. How do I know what my wife told me? How do I know what to fix if you don't talk to me? Talk to me. Yeah. And so now it's like, well, now how do I talk to my wife? because I didn't even know how to talk to my wife.
That part.
Yeah, it's like what do you mean you don't know how to talk to her? You just say what's on your mind. Well, that's the thing. I have to know how to bring things to her, and I don't mean to be. I'm not saying like she made me timid. It was just like, so this. I know time is getting scarce, but we got this thing called. My wife came up with it's hats. We have all these. We have these different hats. You have Marcus and Nicole. You got your dad hat. You got your husband hat. You got your business owner hat, and you go through the closet through years, and you lose your Marcus hat because you're so caught up in putting all these other hats on. So when it's time to actually go talk to your wife, you can't find it. Because remember, when we date, you know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
If you got this far, usually y'all got a thing that you do.
Correct.
Well, you sort of forget that. And so I had to learn to find my Marcus and talk to my wife, and it's helped a lot. So, which is why I'm happy. So, yeah. And one more thing as far as marriage. I love it. When men say, well, because I wanted to talk to that brother who talking about, well, it's westernized, and that's why I don't believe in marriage. I'm like, well, okay, first off, the answer to that is you're going to be, when you with somebody for a period of time, you married anyway. Now, what I did agree with, the ceremony and all that other stuff is westernized. Going to the ceremony. God didn't have a ceremony. He put man and woman together and made them. Man, we added all that.
Ceremony, the exchange of blood when you have sex, and the hymen breaks, and I feel like the ceremony was the sex.
Yeah. If I didn't see that in the.
I mean, not ceremony, but it's the sex, right?
Yes.
Like the union. Well, I don't know the biblical word.
But yes. But and he was saying like all the paperwork and all that other. Okay, I get what he was saying there.
Right.
But my point is, you married either way. Whether you want to call it or not. Right. You here 10 years, that's your wife. Whether you did paperwork anyway. So y'all been together all this. Oh, well, that's your wife. Marriage is you're gonna be married to something.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Well, I don't want to be married," brother, you're gonna be married to something. Whether you married to the streets, you married to your money, whatever. But be married towards something that progresses, that gives you legacy. What type of legacy are you trying to push forward? So I just want to get that out too about marriage, because folks are saying marriage is for the birds, and I've gotten more being married. Yes, the covenant. I've gotten more being married than I did before I got married. And when people say, I got married, I'll be like, congratulations, welcome to the stronger side. That's what I do. Welcome to the stronger side. Yeah, and it's rough. It's rough. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna be, but that's a small thing compared to the bird's eye view. The times that I was like, man, I'm done with this, I looked at the bird's eye view. The whole, like from beginning to end, I'm like, yo, man, this ain't bad. Just get over this. Just get through this little storm here.
Right.
And on the other side, you got what we got right now. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And yeah, so just want to say that.
No, I love that, because that's life anyway. Life is going to be hard anyway. There are going to be hard things. We, as individuals, we're required to pull back. When something feels like too much, that's what I've been taught, is to pull back, look at the bigger picture, and then now you can actually tackle the problem for what it is. But that doesn't change. Whether you're married or not, the problems are going to happen. So why not, have something good and work towards, like you said, the legacy, something that you want, and just put effort towards it and do the work it takes, because you're going to have to do it anyway.
You don't have to in something.
Correct. Because even when it comes to, I don't remember who I was watching, but there was this guy, I think he was a millionaire or whatever the case, but he was kind of talking about feelings and emotions and compassion and empathy and the things that are more tied to being a woman. But he was like, when I smiled more, when I was more compassionate, when I was more empathetic, that added another zero to my income. It's like, so it's time to let the wall down. I'm not saying you have to walk into the office bawling.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's okay to be what is considered soft. It's not, so there's something to that for you, regardless if it's with a woman or not.
Yeah, well, hey man, it's worked for me. My commercials and all this stuff I booked was because I opened myself up to be vulnerable. Be happy, man. If you're happy, let everybody know you're happy. I'm happy. Yeah, man.
That.
Yeah.
Marcus, this was amazing. I love it. The chat is popping. There's love and marriage and hearts and salutes all
that's cool.
Here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Kudos to your woman and all the work she did to become who she was, to attract you and carry everything, your kids, your everything. Beautiful family. Love it. Keep doing your work with the group home. Like, I'm just here for it. You're going to have to come back. We're going to have to do another panel. We're going to have you back again.
For sure.
Maybe get some of the younger guys on the panel. So,
all right.
Let them know what's up. No, I'm playing.
Yeah.
But I really love this. And before we get out of here, please share like where we can find you or anything you have coming up, or just something. I don't know if you got a book out, or anything where we can continue to connect with you.
Marcus Pops Brown on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Working on I have a video game. I do voiceovers if you can't tell. I do.
Yeah.
But Call of Duty, shoot 'em up game. I'm playing Damon Reigns. Just wrote a pilot called The Disciples. It's Sons of Anarchy meets Snowfalls, Black Motorcycle Club in the 80s. Got a casting director, Tracy Twinkie Bird.
Oh, and producer. Love it.
Yeah, producing
I auditioned for her before.
Oh, it's great. Mentor for me. She is, her and my wife is the reason. There's other people, but are the reason why I wrote this pilot. Like I was always an actor, do voiceover, but again, y'all women, man. Like, look, it's nurturing. You're the soil. You see what I'm saying? Even after the tree is grown, and you still continue to nurture. That's what the women are. And I wouldn't have. I had an idea, but not simultaneously, but at different points and times. Man, you don't do that. I wrote it. Twinkie's on. So yeah, I'm anxious. I'm anxious to get this made. I'm a biker. I've been doing that for 20 years. My wife ride, not now, but she did. And so, I mean, I got a story to tell. And so that's what I'm pushing now, ready for pitching and all that other stuff. So I got a team together. So that's what I'm doing. And got a couple of commercials that's running. And that's it right now.
That's it. You're living. I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And Sunny Rose in the chat said, great post. We love Marcus. His energy is awesome. Great.
Oh, appreciate that, man.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time and all this. We'll continue to stay connected and keep shining, keep doing your thing. And I'm so glad you're happy. It matters how you feel, what you do. It's amazing. So
thank you for doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you guys all who tuned in. If you're not following Kings Speak on Instagram, please do. You can also follow me here, Jaimi Alexander on Instagram, and I'll be sharing clips and things and everything. And if you guys have questions, we'll do more panels. And if you don't know Marcus, on Thursday, we have the after conversation to Kings Speak, and it's called Queens Glean. So we're going to talk about all of the main points that you talked about, but it's a woman's panel, and we're just going to talk about it from our point of view and what we think and feel about it. So We'll share that with you too.
All right.
All right, y'all. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye.